distinctly remember the very moment that I saw a SIRT pistol for the first time. In fact, it was right outside of this building. It's etched into my mind. And it was just one of those moments when you have this kind of moment of epiphany, right? A whole new reality opened up to me, especially kind of with my background with, you know, human performance and, you know, sports psychology and neuropsychology. With the moment that my background saw this amazing training tool and what it can do, a whole new world of possibility was opened up to me. Like literally, for like 3 or 4 days, I had a hard time sleeping, right? I kind of obsessed about it, to be honest with you, just because there were so many new ideas and possibilities that were coming to me, right? I actually started giving away SIRT training pistols as gifts for many people, and I started just endlessly writing down ideas and coming up with curriculum, and more development and research was going into how can I get the most out of this training aid, knowing and understanding how the neuropsychology of skill acquisition works. So I feel strongly, I really do, that the SIRT training pistol is the most important training aid anywhere in the world. At IDS, we have a very specific progression that we follow with our training. 95% of the training and practice that we have, especially with the ammunition shortage that we're experiencing right now, 95% of our training and practice is with SIRT and other inert weapons. 2.5% of our training and practice is with other weapons such as NLTA, non-lethal training ammunition, like simunitions, for example, and then 2.5% of our training and practice is with live fire, because live fire is so limiting because of the barriers with live fire. We find this progression to be optimal for learning and performance. We get the most amount of repetition in, we can build up our kinetic skills and our confidence with inert weapons first, and then we can go validate those skills with NLTA and validate those skills with live fire. Be sure to check out the free class that we're offering here on this website regarding all the best safety practices and protocols with inert weapons and NLT weapons. Okay, so SIRT is an acronym actually that stands for Shot Indicating Reset Trigger. Let's just talk about the importance right now of simulation a little bit. The autonomic nervous system doesn't know the difference between a simulated training experience and an actual real-world critical incident, right? So you can have a simulated training aid and you can use that to simulate reality, and the gray matter in the autonomic nervous system of your brain doesn't know the difference between the two. This is why the military literally spends billions of dollars every year on different types of simulated training experiences. Flight simulators, for example, a wide variety of other types of simulators that are used at a very high level, again, because the autonomic nervous system doesn't realize that it's not a real event. All throughout history, warriors have used different types of simulated inert training aids. Swords, for example. The vast majority of sword training was done with a wooden sword. Daggers, knives, you know, the list goes on and on and on. People have known and understood this all throughout history. It's just now we have the science to back up the efficacy and the effectiveness of this type of training, because they understood there's only so much that they can actually do with the live weapons. Not to mention, again, we're in an ammo shortage. So how do you get the kind of repetition that you need to make sure that you are experiencing the right type of competence so that you can be successful in the moments that you need it the most? Not to mention the amount of money that is saved and time that is saved using this type of an inert weapon versus always being at the range and blowing through all different types of live ammunition all the time. The next piece is this enables you to train anywhere, okay? I'm not saying that you shouldn't continue to practice live fire. You do, we do, I do, frequently, all the time. I have one day a week that I'm at the range, but every single day. For me, it's a minimum of 20 minutes a day, usually up to 120 minutes or sometimes 3 or 4 hours in a single day. Sometimes even more than that in a single day, 6 or 7, 8, 9 hours in a single day, where we're getting a lot of repetition and practice, where we can do it anywhere. I take my SIRT training pistol with me on the road when I travel. I practice in my hotel rooms or wherever I am. I make sure that I have this with me at all times. Just a quick story, when I threw my back out, I was able to get out of bed for an entire week. I was still able to put targets on the ceiling in my bedroom and continue to practice with my SIRT, even though I had a pretty serious injury at the time. So literally being able to train anywhere that you are is really important, that you're staying on top of your competence and continuing to increase your skill level at all times. One of the other things that I really love about the SIRT platforms is how versatile it is. I can use it as for force on force, right? With and against another person with real resistance in 3 dimensions. If I'm a competition shooter, whatever the case may be, I can apply it to just about any application that I can think of. So it's really super versatile in that way, which to me is very important and a big part of what this training program is really all about. Working in 3 dimensions. If I go to a live fire range, almost all live fire range are really sort of, linear in their dimensionality. Here I can work 360 degrees. I can turn around, I can shoot, I can move, I can practice, and I can simulate reality as much as possible. That's what this program is about. It's about an accurate reflection of reality, also known as reality-based training. So what better tool can I find to reflect reality than the SIRT platform? A huge aspect to what we teach here at IDS, because we know the distances and we've done the research for what self-defense situations look like for citizen defenders, is what we call, what was a term that was developed by Navy SEALs, by Dev Group. It's called weapons flow. How I'm able to flow from position to position, and I can practice very realistic reloads with this, right? Weapons flow is a huge part of self-defense. Muzzle strikes, the list goes on and on and on. Weapons flow is something that we'll cover a lot throughout all these courses. Different dynamic shooting positions, the list goes, CQB is another application. The list goes on and on. Having the unconscious competence necessary to have weapons flow in play is a really big part of what the SIRT training platform is all about. Trigger work. Trigger work is a really big deal when it comes to the SIRT. It's one of the things that it was really built to do, right? They have different triggers that simulate a wide variety of other platforms out there on the market. This one happens to be a really very, very close, if not exact, replication of the Glock 17 trigger. The trigger weight is actually adjustable, right? So you can adjust the trigger weight to your liking. One of the big things is working the different sequences of your trigger finger and the stages of your trigger as well. One of the really great features of this is the take-up laser, all right? So the take-up is the slack, the 90% of slack on your trigger. The take-up laser actually shows you when you've taken out the slack here. Now I can go all the way through to where I'm actually breaking the shot, and you can see where my point of impact is going to be. The other nice thing about that take-up laser is when you go back to reset, that take-up laser stays on. So when you're putting a string of shots together, for example, you can make sure that you're always hitting that reset point so that you're really practicing proper trigger work, okay? This simple level right here, what I like to do after a little while, after we've kinetically learned where that reset point is, now we can turn that off and we can work from a kinetic memory instead of the visual feedback. So trigger work, a lot more to trigger work that we'll be talking about in our courses, is a really huge advantage, right, to working with the SIRT. Another aspect that I really like working with the SIRT is when you have beginners, people that are brand new, they can really build a lot of confidence because they're not afraid of the SIRT. They know that it's inert, so they can really build their confidence. They can really build their kinetic skills because they don't like the loud sounds, or they don't like what they consider to be the danger of a live weapon. So they can develop all of that in a way, in a safe training environment where they can really feel good and build their skills in a very dramatic and accelerated way. All right, so there's a little bit about the SIRT. Let's dig into some training.